Have you ever wondered why some people seem completely unbothered by toxic individuals while others get pulled into drama over and over again? There's actually a psychological shift that happens when toxic people simply stop being able to affect you. And no, it's not about becoming cold or heartless. It's about understanding something that most people never figure out. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share will change how you handle difficult people forever. You know what's fascinating? Toxic people don't randomly target everyone. They have a sixth sense for finding people who will give them exactly what they're looking for. And what they're looking for isn't what you think. They're not necessarily seeking agreement or compliance. What they really want is access to your emotions. The moment you give them that access, you've entered their game. And in their game, you can never win. Think about the last time someone really got under your skin. Maybe it was a family member who always knows exactly what buttons to push, or a coworker who seems to thrive on creating unnecessary conflict. What happened in your body when they started their usual routine? Your heart probably started racing. Your mind began formulating the perfect response. You felt that familiar surge of frustration or anger building up inside you. That reaction, that emotional response, is exactly what they were fishing for. Here's what most people don't understand about toxic behavior. It's not really about the specific words they're saying or the particular issue they're bringing up. The content is almost irrelevant. What matters is your reaction to that content. Your emotional response is like fuel to their fire. Without it, the fire simply dies out. But most of us have been conditioned to respond immediately when someone pushes our buttons. We feel this overwhelming need to defend ourselves, to explain our position, to make them understand why they're wrong. This is where most people get trapped. They think if they can just find the right words, if they can just explain themselves clearly enough, if they can just make the toxic person see reason, then the problem will be solved. So they engage, they argue, they defend, they justify, they over-explain. And what happens? The toxic person gets more energized. The conflict escalates. The drama increases. Because you've just given them exactly what they were looking for, your emotional reaction. If you've been caught in this cycle, I want you to comment below and just write, "I stop reacting." This isn't just a comment, it's a commitment. It's the first step toward reclaiming your emotional freedom. Because once you understand that your reaction is the very thing keeping these people in your life, everything changes. Let me tell you what needs to happen instead. When a toxic person tries to engage you in their drama, when they throw out that comment designed to get a rise out of you, when they start their usual manipulation tactics, you do something that will probably feel uncomfortable at first. You remove your emotional reaction completely. You don't argue back. You don't defend yourself. You don't try to prove anything. You respond politely if you need to respond at all, and then you end the conversation. Or better yet, you don't respond at all. Now, I can already hear some of you thinking, but that's rude, but they'll think I'm weak, but I need to stand up for myself. Here's the thing though. Emotionally intelligent people understand that not everything deserves a response. Not every comment requires a comeback. Not every provocation needs to be addressed. In fact, the strongest response you can give to toxic behavior is often no response at all. This isn't about being passive. This isn't about letting people walk all over you. This is about understanding the difference between responding and reacting. When you react emotionally, you're operating from a place of triggered feelings. When you respond consciously, you're operating from a place of choice and clarity. Toxic people can't manipulate someone who refuses to be emotionally triggered by their behavior. Here's why this approach is so incredibly effective. Toxic people are seeking a specific outcome from their behavior. They want to feel powerful. They want to create chaos. They want to control the emotional climate of the situation. All of these outcomes depend entirely on your participation. When you remove your participation, when you refuse to play their game, something interesting happens. Their behavior loses its effectiveness. Think about it from a basic psychological perspective. If someone is used to getting a big emotional reaction from you and suddenly that reaction disappears, their brain starts working overtime trying to figure out what happened. They might escalate their behavior at first, trying to get back to the familiar dynamic. But when you consistently refuse to engage emotionally, When you maintain your boundaries without drama or explanation, they eventually get the message. The game is over because there's no longer another player. This process works because toxic behavior is fundamentally about seeking control. Control over your emotions. Control over your reactions. Control over the situation. The moment you stop giving them access to your emotional state, you've taken back control. They can't push your buttons if you've disconnected the buttons entirely. Now, I need to be honest with you about something. When you first start implementing this approach, it's going to feel uncomfortable. You might feel guilty for not engaging. You might feel selfish for protecting your emotional space. You might feel this overwhelming urge to explain yourself just one more time. These feelings are completely normal, and they're also a sign that you're breaking old patterns. Most of us have been conditioned from childhood to please others, to avoid conflict, to fix situations even when they're not our responsibility. We've been taught that it's rude not to respond when someone is talking to us, even if that someone is being manipulative or abusive. We've internalized the belief that we need to defend ourselves whenever someone attacks our character or our choices. But here's what I want you to understand. That conditioning, those automatic responses, they're not serving you. They're keeping you trapped in cycles of drama and toxicity. When you feel that familiar pull to engage, to explain, to defend, that's your old programming trying to reassert itself. This is the moment when everything changes. This is when you have the opportunity to choose a different response. Holding your boundary in this moment, refusing to engage even when everything inside you is screaming to react. This is where your power lies. This is where you reclaim your emotional freedom. It's uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar, but discomfort isn't always a sign that you're doing something wrong. Sometimes discomfort is a sign that you're growing, that you're breaking free from patterns that no longer serve you. What happens next is really remarkable. When you consistently maintain this posture, when you refuse to give toxic people access to your emotional state, something shifts in your entire environment. The people who were draining your energy either change their behavior around you, or they naturally distance themselves. The drama that used to follow you everywhere starts to disappear. Your stress levels drop. Your peace of mind increases. It's like you've created an invisible force field around yourself that repels toxic behavior. Not because you've become mean or cold, but because you've become emotionally unavailable for their games. Toxic people need emotional chaos to thrive. When you stop providing that chaos, they lose interest and move on to someone who will give them what they're looking for. If you're feeling that shift already, if you're starting to understand how your own reactions have been feeding the problem, I want you to comment below and write, "I choose my peace." This commitment, this decision to prioritize your emotional well-being over the need to engage with toxicity, this is what changes everything. The beautiful thing about this approach is that it doesn't require you to become someone you're not. You don't need to develop thick skin or become emotionally numb. You don't need to be rude or aggressive. You just need to understand that you have a choice in how you respond to other people's behavior. And when you choose not to feed toxic behavior with your emotional reactions, that behavior loses its power over you. This isn't about avoiding all conflict or difficult conversations. There are times when it's appropriate and necessary to address problems directly. But there's a difference between addressing a legitimate issue with someone who's willing to engage in good faith and trying to reason with someone who's only interested in creating drama or asserting control. Learning to recognize the difference is crucial. Toxic people aren't interested in resolution. They're not looking for mutual understanding or compromise. They're looking for a reaction. They want to see you get upset, frustrated, angry, or defensive. Your emotional response validates their behavior and encourages them to continue. When you remove that validation, when you refuse to give them the reaction they're seeking, you're not just protecting yourself in that moment. You're actually helping them understand that their behavior won't work with you. Most toxic people will simply move on to someone else who will give them what they're looking for. But some might actually reflect on their behavior and make changes. Either way, you win. Either the toxic person leaves your life, or they learn to interact with you in a healthier way. But this only happens when you stop participating in their games. As long as you're reacting emotionally, as long as you're trying to defend yourself or change their mind, you're still playing by their rules. Here's something else that's important to understand. This approach works in all areas of your life. Whether you're dealing with a difficult family member, a manipulative friend, a toxic coworker, or even strangers on social media who seem determined to pick fights, the principle is the same. Remove your emotional reaction, and you remove their power over you. The key is consistency. You can't remove your emotional reaction sometimes and engage other times. Toxic people are incredibly persistent. If they know that pushing long enough or hard enough will eventually get a reaction from you, they'll keep pushing. But when they learn that no amount of provocation will get you to engage emotionally, they stop trying. This might mean that some relationships in your life will change or end, and that's okay. Any relationship that requires you to constantly defend yourself or absorb someone else's toxic behavior isn't a healthy relationship anyway. When you stop enabling toxic behavior, you create space in your life for healthier, more positive connections. You also model healthy behavior for others. When people see you refusing to engage with drama, maintaining your peace despite provocation, setting boundaries without explanation or justification, they learn that this is possible. You become an example of what emotional maturity looks like. Some of you might be worried that this approach makes you seem cold or uncaring. But there's a difference between being cold and being boundaried. Being cold means you don't care about anyone or anything. Being boundaried means you care deeply about your own well-being and you're unwilling to sacrifice it for someone else's dysfunction. Actually, this approach often makes you more available for genuine connection. When you're not constantly drained by toxic interactions, when you're not spending all your emotional energy defending yourself or trying to fix other people's behavior, you have more energy for the relationships and activities that truly matter to you. So here's what I want you to remember. Toxic people only bother those who still react to their behavior. When you change your response, when you remove your emotional reaction, the entire dynamic changes. You don't need to become hard or cynical. You don't need to build walls around your heart. You just need to understand that you have the power to choose how you respond to other people's behavior. This choice, this ability to remain calm and centered regardless of what others are doing, this is emotional intelligence. This is maturity. This is what allows you to move through the world with confidence and peace, knowing that other people's dysfunction doesn't have to become your dysfunction. When you master this skill, when you learn to remove your emotional reaction from toxic behavior, something beautiful happens. Toxic people will never bother you again. Not because they've changed, but because they no longer have access to what they were seeking from you. Your emotional reaction was the key they needed to affect you. When you take away that key, you take away their power. And that's when you truly become free.